It is a pleasure to have you back, Ricky, here by my side for an episode of Hobby Talk. I made a joke in the episode I did last, which by myself, I was like, "Oh, Ricky's fired." Just kidding, just kidding. So welcome back. How have you been over the past? I don't know. How long has it been since we've done it? Because we had like Thanksgiving in the way, and then obviously you had.
Oh wow, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. So catch us up with life a little bit, not just your day, but how's life?
Uh, Life is pretty good. Got a new job, got a new role, it's Christmas season. Chicago's pretty cold, but it's time of the year around here with the lights and the snow and Christmas spirit.
Ooh, I like that.
What else is going on? I haven't really been buying too much lately. Uh, I got a sub coming back soon that
I was gonna say I heard you didn't do all too well on it. When you
we
get
could
them
talk
back,
about we
yeah.
could talk about that later or now if you want. But
Well, well, PSA's in the limelight for a lot of different reasons, not just your submission. I'd probably say your submission might be third on the totem pole, but with everything going on, you got them obviously caught switching grades. You have their parent company Collectors buying Beckett. We obviously have your submission that didn't go all too well. I mentioned, Beckett being bought out. I have a story to talk about in regards to Beckett. So and we're going to go over the grading report for November. It's a little late, almost 3 weeks late. However, we have yet to go over it. And there are some trends that I think will be very insightful to go over. So it seems like today is going to be a grading heavy kind of episode. And I hope you're okay with that, Ricky, because we have a lot
of
to talk
course,
about. All right. So
yeah.
I think,
How are you doing, Murph?
well, in regards to me, I'm good. I'm good. I'm staying busy. You can kind of tell by the backdrop. We got boxes to go through. Um, the shop's been busy. Just had my birthday last weekend, so trying to come down from that and get back into the swing of things. Christmas busy, holidays busy. Cold weather, I absolutely don't like. I don't care for the snow. I don't care for the cold. And just trying to get through to Christmas because I'll be closed obviously on Christmas Day and the day after. Little 2-day break there. So just trying to keep focus and not look ahead. Remember in high school, middle school, like, oh, Christmas break is like a week away. Oh, Christmas break's like
Mm-hmm.
3 days away. I'm trying to avoid that mindset. The day will come when the day comes when we can take a break. But just trying to stay focused and not like drown myself in exhaustion. So all is good though. All is good. All is
Business
good.
is good. Business is booming.
I think so. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that you're not buying a lot, and I've noticed that a lot of people themselves aren't buying a lot, and I'm referring to singles. I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but at least that's what I'm kind of referring to. People are buying sealed product, and I've talked about this before. Sealed product, although it is still expensive, let's not ignore that. It is still expensive, but people are buying it more because it has become more affordable, because it
Like,
is sitting on the shelves. Now, maybe the craze of Pokemon has kind of helped aid in sports being more affordable and more accessible, probably. But also, you have the hype of Wembenyama really died down. Cooper Flag hype just not living up to it, in terms of what we thought he would be from the market and hobby perspective. I mean, he's not drastically pricing the prices of boxes. Obviously, you have a couple years of quarterback classes who some of them have lived up to the hype, and then they kind of, fall on their face. Jada Daniels, for instance, CJ Stroud, great quarterbacks, don't get me wrong, but that sophomore slump really kind of hit them hard a
oh
little bit. So, I mean, in terms of the investment in buying and sitting and holding, people really aren't kind of participating in that, at least here at the local level, as you may see contradictory to what's going on online on other YouTubers and the bigger shows. So people are really enjoying the hobby from a ripping perspective, which, in my opinion, is a foundational pillar of this hobby. So that's a little trend I've noticed over the last couple of months in that regard.
well, that's good.
Yeah. So yeah, long story short, shop's good. I'm good. Um, people are having fun. But I want to enough about me though. I don't like talking about me. I like talking about other people. Oh boy. Yeah. Which one? We got to go to this one here. Bing bang. Perfect. So this is from November. So again, we are a little delayed on this. Look at tag jumping SGC. SGC. I got to make sure I clarify that. PSA still extremely dominant. Beckett compared to last year, huge increase, a little down compared to last month. CGC, same thing compared to last year, massive up, but compared to last month, a little down. It's not always going to be uptrends. However, SGC, it's only been down. Any big takeaways outside of kind of the few nuggets that I just said?
They're all down month over month by a decent amount. That's kind of crazy.
So I want to kind of say, oh, the holidays are coming up. People aren't grading as much. But most of these submissions, probably all of them, especially for PSA, are submissions that they've had since September, since October. Obviously, November for the quicker turnaround submissions. So I can't even blame the holidays here for that. Now, come December's grading report and in January's grading report, I think we can absolutely blame the holidays if there is a downtick. But when I'm looking at, PSA minus 16 month over month, if you ask anybody, especially Pokemon, flippers in this hobby, oh, if something's down 16%, oh, the market's crashing. But we're not hearing no market's crashing in terms of PSA grading. Of course not. So it's all trends. Now, if they're just down 16% over 6 months, then we can have that conversation when, if that happens. And of course, the controversy and the stories of them switching grades, which we'll get into, possibly will play a factor into December's and January's submission reports, which we're not going to see in November's. And we may not even see in December's because all those submissions are already there and they've been there from prior to that news getting out. When will we see a reflection in Beckett and how collectors handles Beckett moving forward? Again, we'll have to see that in the months later. Tag down from last month, but up obviously from last year. And they have officially surpassed SGC, who's just, they're a boutique grader. They're just there. They're just kind of hanging out. But I agree. I mean, they're all down, which is kind of shocking because, again, we're not blaming the holidays. We're not there yet in terms of, reacting to these reports. Why is that? People just don't care about the grades no more? I've tried to say this from day one. It's not about the grade, Ricky. It's about the player or the Pokemon on the damn card.
I will say you've been an advocate for that.
For months. I joke about it all the time with people. It's hilarious. It's a 9. Oh, you should have bought the grade. You should have paid another 50 grand for the card instead of what you could afford. I think we're going to see downtrends December, January, not just because of the holidays, that too, but because people are probably just sick of it, honestly. Like, sure, you want your card protected. I get it. I'm all for it. But, I think the mass submissions going out to these companies, specifically PSA, are really, really going to slow down. People might not be able to afford it anymore. People have their speculations against PSA. They probably have their speculations against Beckett and CGC. Although they're clearly the number 2, they are still a Pokemon heavy grader, and that's fine. Or a TCG grader, I should say, for that matter, which is fine. So I think people are going to start caring less about grading because at the end of the day, I think they're finally realizing it's about the card in the plastic and not the plastic itself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely turned away from PSA, not just because of that last submission, but every year they usually run a special for the membership. They didn't do that this year. They have, for the membership costs for the year. They didn't do that this year. Every month they used to have grading specials. They don't do that anymore. So it's like I'm not gonna pay $200 a year for 6 months around and $21 a card. So I didn't renew it this year. I probably won't ever again. I don't want to say that, but I can't see myself doing it again. I kind of wish I didn't send out this last sub just so I could be done with PSA, but whatever.
Can you just kind of touch upon the submission that you refer to? We don't have to get into it today. We can wait till you get the cards back. But you told me that didn't go all too well. Can you just kind of brush upon that real quick since you do already have the grades back, just so we know what you're talking about with this last submission?
Yeah, this last submission I got smoked. So I submitted for myself, my boy, and my brother. I think there was a total of 27 cards in there with 14 of them being mine. And I got 2. My brother submitted 3 cards. He got 1. And my boy submitted 10 cards. He got 3.
Brutal.
I think the math is, I don't know. But yeah, something like that.
Low. That's what it is.
Total 10. 6 total 10s. I got a 7.
Ooh.
I got a couple 8s. So I just took the PSA offers on them, honestly. I don't want to deal with that.
Oh, they're going to switch the grades, and now they're going to be 10s, and you just lost out.
I screen recorded certs just so I can look them up later, make sure they're real. But
oh god, that's funny.
Yeah, I wish I was done with PSA, but I have one more sub in, and that's probably gonna be the last one.
Now, what's kind of pushed you over the edge? Is it just the membership and the grading costs, and it just doesn't make sense? The turnaround times, obviously, you mentioned 6 months, which I think what is on their website, 90 business days, no guarantee. That probably translates to about 6 months if you pay for the cheapest and slowest. So what is it that just turns you off from PSA? Again, outside of, the switching grades, thing that we're going to get into in a second, which might play a huge factor, probably does for a lot of people, but get into why you're kind of done with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of all of that. I've been seeing they are grading harsher now, or at least people aren't getting as many 10s as they were. So I was kind of like, well, damn, that's probably going to happen with my sub now. And it did. So, yeah, it seems like they're harsher now. Like I said, the price just isn't worth the membership anymore.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Like,
right.
Investment reward.
I'm not going to spend $200 to save $2 per card if it's going to take 6 months.
Like you'd have to send out a submission at least every month. But if you really want to squeeze the juice on the rewards, every 2 to 3 weeks, really, and you'd have to send in at least probably 15 to 20 cards to make the shipping cost make sense. So I agree completely with you. I mean, it is an added cost you're not getting anything new. It's not like you're getting new. It's not like you're paying that $200 and you're getting a new card or new cards. Like, obviously you're getting cards graded. However, it's at this point, I feel like the community and the hobby doesn't really care necessarily in regards to the grading, I should say. And I just want to kind of pinpoint the difference between sports and Pokemon right now. Obviously, Pokemon's been on the forefront for months on end. One Piece kind of trickling in. Curious to see where that kind of plays out in the next couple months. But here is the sports. PSA 600,000 total sports cards graded. Everyone else 51, 35, 34, tag 2,000. And if you kind of hop over to Pokemon or TCG and non-sport, PSA well over 1 million. CGC 374, 39, 37. Beckett and Tag are pretty much like neck and neck. Actually, no, that was SGC, right? That was SGC, excuse me. Beckett's kind of split between sports and TCG, which is actually, I would say, healthy to be predominantly split down the middle, which you wouldn't kind of think of in regards to Beckett, because oftentimes it's kind of associated with sports, but they're black labels. Sell, you can get them with One Piece, Dragon Ball, obviously Japanese Pokemon as well. But just from looking at this, you can clearly tell that people are grading more TCG and non-sport cards, probably mainly Pokemon, which we could probably find out in right here. There you go. So it is clearly TCG, probably Pokemon. It's just a logo. Doesn't mean it's actually Pokemon, but it is clearly TCG compared to non-sport here, just light years ahead. And I think that kind of showcases the current state of the hobby right now, how dominant Pokemon is. And it seems like Pokemon maybe has 1 foot out the door in terms of the limelight, whereas One Piece has 1 foot in the door. I don't know much about One Piece. I don't know if you do, Ricky, or if you have any interest in it, but you kind of jotted it down in the chat. Do you want to kind of chime in anything about One Piece kind of possibly taking over?
I mean, yeah, One Piece is definitely the hot product right now. I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to pretend to. I'm not going to pretend to show interest in it just because it's hot. It is kind of funny seeing a lot of these like Pokemon pages or people with Pokemon and the logo switching to One Piece because it's just like, all right, just admit you're a hypebeast scalper.
Those were the same people that were into sports cards 2-3 years ago. They're the same people that were into Funkos 4 years ago, and the same people into sneakers 5 years ago.
Yep. So it's just so funny to see, like in real time. Like all of a sudden you're into One Piece.
I feel like it's happening so quickly. Like I feel like when it kind of went from sports to Pokemon, I feel like it took months, like a good few months. But with this One Piece wave, I feel like people went to bed liking Pokemon and then woke up hyping up One Piece. Like I feel like it's just night and day. And hey, the hype moves quicker than you think. And listen, I don't know what it is about One Piece besides some of the female character card arts. Otherwise, I don't really know all too much about it, but I am kind of curious to see where this goes because as a shop owner, as a collector, and I'm sure yourself as a collector, you'd like to kind of see the attention go away from Pokemon to make the product more available, to make the cards priced better, and to kind of have a healthier space. Let all the hypesters talk about One Piece or the Labubu cards that are supposed to come out at some point. Let them all focus on that. We can actually enjoy the cards we like to collect.
Even those SpongeBob cards came and went.
Exactly. No one's talking about them. No more. No, I shut off my mic for a second. No more.
That lasted like a week. Now you see people trying to dump their cards. And
the Disney Chrome cards that came out, they're kind of hanging on by a thread.
Those
I think
cool,
they're
though.
cool because the nostalgia.
We ripped a couple of those boxes. Those are fun.
I think. Wait, me? I didn't rip them.
No. My girlfriend.
Oh. And I mean, but there's like nostalgia there. There's history there. There's sentimental, intimate connection to the characters of the cards.
Right, like, oh, remember these characters?
Yeah. Like, oh, we should watch that movie. Like, sure, SpongeBob is very nostalgia for people our age and our generation. We love it. Absolutely. It's hilarious. But really, like, SpongeBob's just a bunch of memes at this point for us.
I want to see if I'll try to blurt out their name, but someone on my Instagram who always posts like card sales on their stories, and they've just been trying to sell this card, the SpongeBob card.
And it's probably super expensive, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, it's a 1-of-1.
Ooh.
It's not on the story yet. It's of like Jim the Fry Cook or Bob the Fry Cook. I'm like, who is that?
I don't know. I mean,
why does he have a 1-of-1? Why would anyone want to buy that? Why is it so much?
It's cool that a lot of these IPs and such are having trading cards, whether it's Disney, SpongeBob, Star Wars, Marvel. I mean, you name it. Labubus, for God's sake. But not everything needs to be hyped up to an oblivion. Some things can just be kind of kept under the radar, there for the diehards, people that really want to collect it. And that's okay. We don't have to hype it up to the moon. We don't have to. Speaking of hyping up to the moon, I want to talk about this, Ricky.
But yeah.
Pokemon is printing or planning on printing their cards to the moon here in the States, at least. Now, for people that don't know, there's different printing manufacturers for the Japanese cards. Obviously, in Japan, here in the States, we have state manufacturers. That's why the quality, there's such a drastic difference between the two, is because the cards printed in Japan are just significantly printed better compared to the ones here in the States. It is what it is. We have to deal with it. Now, Millennium Print Group, who prints the Pokemon cards here in America, acquires a massive 1.27 million square foot factory. Ricky, you could have the National there, for God's sakes. Holy crap, this is going to be huge. Now, it's going to be in North Carolina, not that it matters, but what I've been saying, print this thing to the moon for months. But now the fact that they've acquired this massive new printing facility, can we A, expect them to print it to the moon, B, expect quality to have maybe a drop off, and C, where does the value of these cards kind of, what's the trajectory of the value of these cards moving forward going to look like? I'd love to hear your take.
So obviously this is good for the collector. Like you said, we've been wanting more printing, and I also alluded to there earlier that there's more product on the shelf now. Like I go to Target and see stuff on shelves, like the Walgreens, and they have Justin Rivals, sleep boosters, whatever. So it is good to see. It's good to see product on the shelves again. I hope they keep printing it at this point.
I agree.
I would hope that this one reduced the quality. Like I would like to think they're upgrading and not just buying more machines.
I am nervous about the quality. I am. Now, I'm hoping with this new printing facility, they don't cut corners, obviously, to kind of cover cost by saying, hey, instead of getting the A model printer, let's just get the B model. Who knows? We'll see. It obviously doesn't affect cards that are currently printed. Maybe those cards will have higher value down the road, because after a few sets, we see that the print quality, or a few sets after they start printing from this new facility, which don't know when that's going to take place. I'm sure there's going to be such a moving process involved on their end. But after, a few sets after that come out after, this printing facility for them opens and the print quality is not good, maybe that kind of, hey, any 10s you do have or any perfectly centered cards you do have might have a premium on them, which I would not be surprised. People love to play the premium game any chance they get. But I think that this helps. Like, I mean, there's no need for ultra modern cards to have such insanely high value. There's no reason booster boxes should be $400 or $500 on Monday after they're released on Friday. There's no reason these chase cards, except for the gold ones, because I'm really intrigued about the gold ones in their future, in as a rarity in Pokemon. But like, the SARs, there's no reason for those to be $400 $500+ cards, 2 weeks later after release day. So if they're going to print more, I hope got water on myself. I hope the print quality doesn't go down. I wouldn't be surprised. They don't care about the print quality because they know people like you and me and everybody else are still going to buy it regardless. All the companies and distributors are still going to buy it regardless. Right. So I hope they just don't cut corners there. I wouldn't be surprised. Definitely seems like something that they would do. But through it all, as I like to be, in regards to some of this breaking news that we talk about here, I am remaining hopeful. I'm going to remain optimistic. And I saw a comment. Where to go? Yes, print. Resellers, scalpers crying right now. I do think it's going to have a massive impact on the secondary market. However, we've already starting to see, and we just talked about it, about the whole One Piece kind of move. We're already seeing those people transition over to One Piece. So how much of a factor will this really be in the end? Probably a good factor, sure. But by the time this printing facility gets up and running, a lot of those scalpers and resellers are probably going to already be firmly into One Piece by then. So I would like to know when this facility does open, but
or whatever the next hot product is.
exactly. I mean, Pokemon's going to be an afterthought this time next year. It's going to be like Funkos to them, just completely
I
dead in
hope
their
it
mind.
is. I really hope it is.
Like, again, I mentioned, just a second ago that there's no reason that these ultra modern cards should be worth so much, but I will agree and stand on the pedestal that older cards should have value. Cards 5 years old, 4 years ago, maybe even at this point, just any cards that are out of printing should have some kind of value to it.
Or,
And
or maybe even the Journey Together or the Kuno. That seems like
that
a
should
ton of
have
value.
that should be like
That should
$100 a
be
copy at this point. I
under
agree.
$50.
There's the what is it, the Kabuto King? Should be the Articuno King,
Yeah,
and
I
just
know.
hoard all the Articuno ice birds. That would be something to see.
That would be kind of nice.
It would be. So I think, again, I've been saying this for months, maybe even years at this point. I think this is going to be a good thing. It's going to put more product. You said you've seen product. I've barely seen product. I still check. I don't buy, guys, but I still check every once in a while my local Targets just to see what competition has. And I've even made a video on the YouTube channel saying that big box stores need to carry trading cards. I've even made a video about it. So I'm not against it. I'm not anti. I don't think Lowe's and Ace Hardware should be carrying it. Walmart's and Targets, I think, are fine. But this is good. This is good. It puts more Pokemon in front of us. It puts cheaper Pokemon in front of us. I think the big question is going to be the quality and the condition of the cards. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Okay, let's see.
Has this printing facility been used? Are they acquiring a printing facility, or are they building one?
Has just acquired I would say it's already been built. I don't know if it's used or anything like that, or if it was just built and just there, but
yeah, the reason I ask is I wonder what they were printing before.
it might not. It just is a manufacturing facility, so it could have been used for Amazon, warehouse or something else, or like a distribution center for whatever. And they've moved out. It's going to be really interesting to see. I would love for them to be able to do tours. They should do that. They really should. That would be awesome. I would go. I'd absolutely go. But no, I'm curious to see how long it'll take for them to get up and running. I'm sure we'll see a post about it. Oh, hey, blah, blah, blah set that releases in blah, 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 is going to be the first one of this new facility. What are your thoughts? What are your expectations of this set? Quality wise, whatever. So I'll be on the lookout for that. And I'm sure once we do get that news, when we get that news, we'll talk about it. We will indeed talk about it. Big shows, Ricky. Big shows. Good thing, bad thing, mediocre thing. I definitely want to talk about this that you sent me because I think, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. Too many big shows is a bad thing. I think too many small shows could even be a bad thing. But before I kind of rant about this, I want to hear your thoughts about it since you sent it to me.
I think it's just hard to plan a Pokemon show that far in advance just because you don't know what the market's going to look like. Like we said, is Pokemon going to be an afterthought? And there's a big show centered around it, and it's not going to be busy. I mean, not to say that whatever is hot at the time won't be present anyways, but I don't know, it's hard. You just don't know what the market's going to look like. So I feel like big shows like that are kind of banking on the fact that it'll still be hot, and that's kind of taking a risk. But I mean, the idea of it is cool. It looks like a huge venue. It looks like it'd be fun. So we'll see.
I agree with everything you just said, and I don't remember. I think we talked about it here on Hobby Talk in previous episode? I don't know, but the one that's taking place in Boston. I think you sent me you also sent me all the shows here. Well, yeah, the Boston Heinz Convention Center in May. So like, and they I think schedule that September, I think it was a couple months
Yeah.
ago at the very least. And like you said, you're banking on the market, the hype, the popularity, all still being relevant. And you're probably hoping that it's all increased from the time you book to the time that you actually have your show. Now, I don't know how big the Albany Convention Center is, or the Vinland, New Jersey Convention, or the Vineland Convention Center, New Jersey. I don't know. I know the Baltimore one's massive, the Boston one's massive, and the Philadelphia Expo Center. All three of those are massive. I'm going to assume that the other two that I don't know are probably decent size as well. So again, like you said, you're kind of banking on, that market to be strong, steady, and hopefully, increased come then. I mean, you got April, May, June, ton going on in July, so I understand them not going into July, but the August 8th and 9th, a week after the National, again, I know Pokemon and the National are kind of two separate things, but the last National, there was a decent amount of Pokemon tables, and you probably like to think that there's going to be even more, or at the very least the same amount. So how popular will that show be? There's a higher chance that me going to that show than say the National, just based on location. I can only imagine how many other people would say the same thing. And then you got the Philly show in the fall, and there's a lot going on there. And all of those shows were booked, planned, and announced before this One Piece craze. Now, one thing that they do have going for them though is it's a TCG convention. So
Right.
regardless if it's Pokemon or One Piece, it should still be successful from a vendor's standpoint. They should still be able to fill at least 80% of the tables just based off of the resellers, the scalpers, the hypesters, coinciding with whatever is, at the forefront. But I will mention they are kind of, I gotta switch back. They are kind of banking on, I mean, they're calling this one in Baltimore a Pokemon / TCG event, and then they have, let me get to it. A Pokemon tournament room be over 4,000 square feet. That's pretty big, of Pokemon tournaments. Hopefully they have enough players to play. So I'm going to be very curious to kind of see the direction of these shows. I mean, we've already talked about here on Hobby Talk about Dallas, the West Coast, Fanatics Fest, all being the same weekend, which is 2 weekends before the National at the end of July. How is that going to turn out? I mean,
That's so bad.
it's a lot. It really is. It really is a lot. It's a lot for vendors, because what if you set up at Dallas and Fanatics Fest? If you can't split your team, you have to choose one. And if you don't choose the other one, you might lose your spot at that show. And for people like, the influencers, or maybe it's your average Joe's looking to travel for, one time a year, I can only go to one of them. You don't know which one you're going to go to, and you're going to have to pick one, and you may like all of them, but it's going to kind of suck that you can only have to pick one.
To try and kind of change the topic for a second, that just kind of shows and proves that the National is still the show, because no one would dare compete with it.
Yeah, I feel like, so I understand Fanatics Fest picking that weekend because of the World Cup final. So regardless of what was going on around that, I don't know if that would alter their course. Like, they knew Dallas and they knew the West Coast show were that same weekend. They still said, F it, we're going to book it. Now, if the National was that weekend, I don't know. I don't think they would, but I wouldn't be surprised if they said, F it, we'll still book it anyways. But the Dallas and the West Coast show being on that same weekend, I don't know who booked first, but whoever didn't book first, whoever booked second, question mark, for obviously booking it then. But I just think that there's a lot of big shows happening, and I'm all for it as long as it's properly planned. There's no other confliction. There's no crossover between other shows, like the 3 shows that I just kind of mentioned. But you are banking on the market and the popularity and the hype all being there, hopefully increase, well, for their sake, come your show. And who knows where the state of the hobby will be in April or in July. Now the national is going to be the national. You know, they're still going to have their boomers show up, you know, the collecting. They'll still have the new faces still being there and trying to flip and all that stuff. But I'm going to be curious to see where the state of the hobby is, for at least from the Pokemon TCG side, is come the springtime and the summer for these shows that they've announced. And then, of course, the sports side of things, you know, come July for the 3 big shows and then the national at the end of the month. It's going to be a lot. But you're right, Ricky. I agree with you. I mean, they would not dare touch the national weekend. I think that's a great point there. And I'm curious to see how this August 8th and 9th show will go. Like, what's the first big sports card show after the national? How will that go? So I'm very curious to see. No, very interesting to see come the summertime for sure. All right.
I haven't got too much of it lately, but I'm probably, while still sticking with Pokemon, I probably want to start dabbling in sports more again.
You do? Ooh.
I do, just because I want a nice Drake May card, so I'll probably wait until the season's over for that. But
I love to hear that. That's exciting. That is very, very exciting. Now I'm trying to pull up something real quick here because I don't have it on. Oh, we don't need volume. We don't need volume. Okay. Hold on. The ad's playing. All right, here we go. Okay. I couldn't find a thing on Instagram, so I'm just going to play my fun little video here, just in the background. So PSA, and this is the big scandal story headline that we've been kind of talking about here, and we've kind of alluded to it a few times. I'm going to try to summarize it very, very quickly for people because I'm sure you've already know about it. Maybe you've watched my video. I'm sure you've watched other videos about it. PSA graded a customer's cards. I think there was like 34 cards, whatever that was there. It was all the same card. It was like a Pikachu Zekrom promo, whatever it was. Doesn't matter. All of them came back 9s. Every single card, all 34 of them came back 9s. So the guy who submitted it accepted the offer on a few of them because PSA will send you offers. I think they were like 34, 35 bucks. He said accept. Okay. He later on checks and he finds out that those same 9s that he accepted the offers on, those certification numbers are now associated with PSA 10s. He accepted the offers on 9s. PSA still has the cards. Now the cert number is a 10. He makes a post about it. He's like, WTF, what's going on? And it catches a lot of wind, and it becomes this huge story. Now, here's a great video right here. I wish I could pull this back up. He kind of explains it really, really well. Anyways, long story short, PSA, if you accept their offer on a 9, how many times have you not noticed that those 9s have come back, or not come back as 10s, but those 9s were changed to 10s? Where PSA controls a lot of the market now, not just grading companies. They control, obviously, the condition of your grade. They control the market, eBay. There's just so much that they control, and there's so much persuasion that they have in this space now. It's baffling, at the very least, because I'm sure it's happened several times, although they've said this is just a one-off. This is crazy. This, never happened before. Quality control, check and all that stuff. It was still on our possession, blah, 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 blah. But again, if this guy didn't check and didn't post it on social media and it got, the wind that it did, it would have just went swept under the rug like probably a bunch of others have. And now I can pause this and I got to switch to another tab here.
For a second, I was looking at the U on the screen. Like,
like I was the one talking in the video.
Why can I hear you, but you're not moving?
So now people that grade with PSA, I'm not one of them, but group submitters out there are suspending submissions with PSA. They are stopping submissions with PSA, and they have questioned their legitimacy, their transparency, which never really existed, their trust, and just the market in general. Because let me ask you this, Ricky, and I want you to chime in after this. And people that are listening, I want to ask you this question. Unless there is a huge centering issue or there's a dimple on the card, with the naked eye, can you really tell the difference between a 9 and a 10? Chances are probably not, unless there's something crazy off with the card. But then at that point, it probably becomes an 8. But however, how many people, and we've all done this, have gotten 9s back from PSA, CGC, Beckett, SGC, whoever, doesn't matter. Got a 9, cracked it open, and resubmitted it, hoping for a 10, where you most likely got a 10 the second time around. A lot. I bet everybody's done it before. And that's how scary that this is. And that's why I don't care about the grading, because 9 and 10s from a naked eye are virtually one and the same. So yeah, this is some crazy news, and a lot of people aren't a fan of it, safe to say. So Ricky, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my first initial reaction when hearing that news was like, how many times did it get swept under the rug, and how many times did it happen before? And shit, has it happened to me before? So yeah, this story was a big reason why I wish I didn't send out another sub, just because it's all very sketchy. But you can have your "I told you so" moment for everyone just because you've been saying this stuff. But yeah, PSA is.
Well, can you say that one more time? One more time for me?
You,
For the people in the back?
Just replay it. But yeah, this is all sketchy, and it's subjective, it's controlled, it's manipulated, whatever. But yeah, I'm done with PSA.
So I found
once this comes in.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. And a lot of people, these group submitters that are saying, hey, we're done with PSA, but the current submissions that are out there, they'll still come back and all that fun stuff. But this is the original video that I kind of reacted to, and he explains it very well. The card science, I would definitely go check it out because he just explains it way better than I could, because I'm trying to summarize it quickly. So it's a shame. It really is. And I think you might have said I was right there. I didn't quite catch you, but I'm just going to kind of presume that you said that.
Yeah, you can replay it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm just gonna kind of go on that premise. And it's funny because I just give my thoughts based how I feel from my perception. I have no internal underground information or data that we all don't already have. And so I just make my educated opinions and how I feel about a situation. Now, when I talk negatively about a company, about a group, or whoever it may be, I oftentimes want to be wrong. How many sports takes have I had that, Drake May, for instance, I was a huge anti-Drake May guy, and I've always said, hey, guys, I hope I'm wrong. However, I just don't see it. And I still want him to see him win the big game. Clearly, he couldn't win against Buffalo. That's neither here nor there.
He did. He already did.
One time. Anyways, that's besides the point.
He lost one time. I will not stand for Drake May.
I just want to see him in the clutch moments. That's all. That's all, against a legitimate team. A legitimate team. We've always talked about how soft their schedule has been. So when you give him, obviously they beat them early in the season, which is great. I will check Drake May. Even though they had a huge lead and it's a team game, the defense blew it, coaching blew it. Obviously the offense blew it at the same time. How do they look against the Ravens? Another playoff team. Well, going to be a playoff team. How are they going to look?
Who
else did they play?
Before the Bills game, they were the only team in the playoffs that was undefeated against other playoff teams.
And that is a huge detriment to Drake May. I absolutely acknowledge it. Without a doubt, acknowledge it. But again, when it's 15 degrees out, 130, a minute 30 left to go, you got one timeout, need a touchdown. Obviously, that's asking a lot, but I want to see that. So obviously, loosely. Anyways, back to this. I agree. No Drake May slander will be said moving forward. In regards to this whole PSA thing, like, this happens and then they go buy, not PSA themselves, the Collectors Universe goes and buys Beckett. Like, that is such a questionable decision. Now, unless this has been in the works for months on end, okay. I just feel like it came out of nowhere. It just, this happens a week later. Hey, we're buying Beckett. Deal with it. So, like, is this them trying to have damage control? Is this them obviously trying to corner the market? Is this them trying to be a monopoly in the grading space? Is this them, hey, if you want to get your cards graded, you have to go through us? Pick any of our avenues. It's all coming to us anyways. I think all can be absolutely true. But I do want to, where is it? Here it is.
Just to touch on that real quick before I forget my thought.
Yeah.
I think that is essentially what it is. This Collectors Universe, the owner of PSA, SGC, and Beckett. I think that's just giving us a big middle finger. Like, okay, yeah, you, like you said, you're gonna have to submit through us now, anyways. So either you with it or you don't, because it's not PSA per se doing all the sketchy stuff. It's their parent company.
Yeah.
Allowing it.
And I want to clarify what a parent company is, because a lot of people, PSA's buying SGC, PSA's buying Beckett. Let me put this in perspective for a lot of people. Let's take the F-150, a nice pickup truck made by Ford. F-150 is PSA, and Ford is the Collectors Universe. Now, when they say, oh, the Chevy Silverado is being purchased by F-150, that is not true. Now, the Silverado, in this case, let's say, is Beckett. It is not the F-150 being PSA buying the Silverado, which is Beckett. No. It's Ford being the Collectors Universe, the parent company. They're the ones that are buying the Silverado. Okay, so when people say, oh, PSA is buying this company, no, it's not PSA themselves. They are their own thing. It's the parent company. So when people say PSA is buying whoever, I know what they're trying to say, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the understanding that it's not PSA themselves. It is the people or the company that owns PSA that is buying and kind of cornering the market. So earlier, not PSA bought SGC, but Collectors Universe bought SGC, and now they just bought Beckett. Two grading companies within, what, 6-ish months, maybe more than that. I don't remember when the SGC purchase took place. Maybe a year ago. I don't know. What, it doesn't matter. So I have a lovely tweet from our boy Jeff Wilson. Lots of talk about Collectors' acquisition of Beckett, making them a, quote, monopoly. Some perspective. PSA graded 500,000 cards last week. Seems like a lot. Beckett graded 18,000. Does buying a company less than 4% of your size make you a monopoly? I would say in a vacuum, no, but it's the principle of buying a competitor. We all saw, Ricky, we've been talking about this. Beckett's been on the rise over the last couple of months. They're not going to get to PSA levels, of course not. But they were inching and getting close from, what, 10,000? And I think their highest maybe at one point was like 80,000, give or take. So, I mean, they've made a huge rebound. And it's the principle that you're taking a competitor out of the equation. That is the monopolizing that we're talking about. It even says right here, removing competition is what leads to monopolies. Exactly.
It's not about how small the competition is. It's just the fact that there's going to be less competition.
Exactly. And going back to my truck example, if Ford keeps buying full-size pickup trucks from these other companies, regardless of how many of them are on the road, they're still buying the competition. So if you want a pickup truck, in this case, if you want your car graded, you have to go through them regardless. Collectors Universe will still be making the money. It has nothing to do with PSA. This has nothing to do with PSA. Did you just send me something?
I just sent you another post. I don't know. Oh, actually, just click it. The one on, yeah, that one.
I think I might have had this one actually queued up. Maybe not. I don't remember. I did not. All right, so let's read it. Collector's first order. Oh, yes, I did want to talk about this. Absolute garbage. Collector's first order of business with Beckett should be to kill the 9.5 grade. Here we go. It's outdated. People want 10s. They don't want gem mint cards to be scored less than 10. All 9.5 should be reholdered as 10s. Black label can be given if perfect. Can we all agree on this?
No.
And Mojo said no. Meyer Collectibles, awful take. I actually like 9.5s aren't bad looking. They're really not. This feels less like an objective proposal. Blah 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 blah. It's time for you to take a backseat, pal. I think the hobby is in complete disagreement with Jeff here. I think for the first time ever. I know he's got a lot of heat, but a lot of people, just kind of blindly, like, oh, Jeff Wilson. But not in this case. Now, if you only care about the money and the grade, sure, this is a great idea. But that's not what the hobby cares about. And we've seen that time and time again. This is an awful take. I'm not surprised it came from him. I know you're not surprised either.
Right, because he's out of touch. He's just... I can't stand the guy.
Oh, he is. He's more hilarious than he is smart, and he's more logical.
This is the same guy who invested thousands and thousands into Desmond.
And crap, who was the better investment? Better investment than Kyler Murray. Who was it? Will Greer was a 5 times better investment than Kyler Murray, or whatever the hell the thing was. Look, I like Will Greer coming out of West Virginia, I think it was. So listen, I'm heartbroken about that too. But I don't think 9.5s are outdated. I've never heard anybody say that it's outdated.
I've never, obviously people want black labels, but I've never heard anyone necessarily too upset with getting a 9.5.
Like, I bet people would rather have a 9.5 than a 9 on their card. Guarantee that. Like, I mean, if your submission, all your 9s came back 9.5s, you'd probably have a little bit better attitude about how you feel about PSA and how, you feel about your submission coming back. And I would say that's about the thing with, everybody would feel a little bit better if their 9.5s were, their 9s were 9.5s. But if you kill the 9.5, it's basically going to be a coin toss, more often than not going to land on the 9 because they don't want to oversaturate their 10 market, which is already oversaturated, not Beckett's, but just in general, the 10 market is well oversaturated. And I think 9.5s are a great differentiator for cards in great condition, because 9.5, 10s, sure, they may all look the same from a naked eye. However, the market will dictate something different. The condition wise, it absolutely could be different. And at least I agree with Jeff on one thing, that the black labels can be given if perfect. At least we agree on that, which is something I don't ever do with him.
Very hot take.
So there is some saving grace there. This is just terrible.
Santiago Sports posted a funny rebuttal to this one. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, it's... What else is he saying that's just stupid? There was another tweet I think I saw. Oh, here we go. I really, really hope collectors make Beckett great again. Here we go. The excitement of getting a new Beckett price guide in the mail was the highlight of my week as a 10-year-old. I was absolutely obsessed with collecting as a kid, and Beckett was the brand I most associated with that experience. So where'd they go? Okay. That's a core, sentimental memory and experience and feeling you had with Beckett. So why'd you just kind of tell him to F off? You jump to PSA because that's where the money is. That's all you care about. I would love to see Beckett restored to its prominence of decades past. I truly hope Collectors does that. Beckett is going to get the SGC treatment. Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Absolute monopoly. The comments are just hilarious on this. Here we go. This is what you sent me. Collectors' first order business should be to kill all grades. Grades are stupid and mean nothing. People don't care about condition anymore. All cards should be slabbed with no grade. All cards can be black labels just because I said so. Can we all agree this is dumb? I mean, yeah, I'm calling
it. It kind of alludes to what you said though. Like, on a serious note, people care about the cards more than the grades now.
That's it. And I think grading should only have a factor if we're talking about vintage cards. That's it. Because vintage cards, the condition actually does matter. If you just pull a card that was printed, from 2025 or any past couple years, or if you just pull the new Drake May Prism, whatever, like you would expect that card to be in a really, really, really good condition. So what is the difference between a 9 and a 10 really, really do for you at the end of the day, unless you're going to go sell it? Nothing. So again, if you want to get graded to protect it, I mean, fine, but a one touch can do that too. I mean, just put a bag over it so if it drops, it doesn't pop open. But I mean, the point stays the same. It just grading ultramodern cards makes absolutely no sense outside of the monetary value. And I think people are starting to realize that we don't have to grade cards in order to make money, or grading cards is actually losing us money, especially if we get 7, 8s, and 9s. And the fact that they take 6 months for them to come back from PSA on the cheapest and slowest is really turning people off. And I think we're finally seeing a shift in movement that we saw here. Down, 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 down. I understand the SGC being down, but everything else should not be down. But it all is.
Yeah, see, CGC really needs to step up. They can take over. They can take over, but again, they got to improve their turnaround times. Didn't they just raise the price recently too?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that actually, because I already had this lined up for us. In all of this news from PSA's in the headlines. It's the forefront of the hobby right now, all for the wrong reasons. CGC decides to raise prices starting next year. Awful decision. Now I think it's like by $2 or whatever it is. I don't know the exact number, but it makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense to do this in the wake of things, especially if you're trying to be the number 2, which a lot of people say you are. But if you really want to, before Beckett got acquired by collectors, really, cement yourself. If you really want to contend with PSA in the TCG space, or even make yourself prominent in the sports space, this is not how you do it. This is not how you do it. Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, that's not how you win over customers. That's not how you acquire new customers. It's really not.
Nope.
They're like, now it makes you question them. Like, are they in it for the money? Do they genuinely care about the collectors? Is this just another PSA in the making where their sole focus is to
just get as much money as possible? I agree. Now, the only justifiable excuse for raising is if their turnaround times were going to get slashed in half. If they said, "Hey, our bulk, which is, I don't know what it is. Let's just say it's 50. Hey, $2 more per card. However, you're going to get it back in 25 business days sooner. So now you only have to wait 25 business days, which should be about a month and a half." I think people would sign up for that. I really do. Right. However, if the turnaround times are going to stay stagnant or get worse, or just simply have no improvement at all, then yeah, people are not going to be signing up for this. And this,
what they need to do is grow.
What's that? You cut out.
What they need to do is grow. Like,
I agree.
Buy another facility, buy more space, hire more employees. They make that investment so you don't have to raise your prices too much or at all. Instead of just trying to penny pinch and make every dollar you could.
Like, I know that they set up at a bunch of shows. Maybe they cut back on the shows. Maybe you raise the JSA services. I don't know how that's split, because obviously JSA is separate. It's maybe cut down on the marketing a little bit. I don't know. Or hey, maybe how about this? And I think this would be a great way to kind of bring in a lot of business, so you don't have to penny pinch for the holidays. Just have a sale. If you have a sale, hey, 20% off your purchase, you would get so many submissions coming in that it would make up the money that you would actually have lost based on the sale. I mean, I would probably put a Christmas submission together if I can save 20%. I'm sure a lot of other people would as well, especially in the wake of this whole PSA and Beckett, news and such, would kind of be like, oh, hey, wait a second. I get to save this much and I get it back that fast. They would get so many submissions in, but instead they chose to raise prices. Terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, I agree. That's just not good business.
Nope. Now, again, I mean, if they want to rate, if this was like a temporary raise, fine, I guess. But hey, who's to say that the temporary doesn't become permanent down the road? Why would you even need a temporary raise to begin with? But at the bottom here, way to capitalize on PSA screw-ups. Absolutely terrible. But wow, what an action-packed episode we had today. Holy crap. I think we talked about everything too. I didn't think we were going to get to everything, but I think we did. Wow. All right. Yeah, it was pretty good in timely fashion too. Well, with all of that being said, I guess we'll get into some outgoing takes then, unless you have anything that you kind of want to touch upon before we get into that.
No, I think that's it.
Hell yeah. Oh, all right. So what do we got as our outgoing takes today? I need like a couple outgoing takes because you missed last time.
All right. Still buying James Wood.
Yes.
Go.
Oh, I got to tell you, somebody came in with a James Wood. I think he might have sent it to you. The tier 1, I think it was, the triple threads, 2 of 5. He's like, oh, you like James Wood, right? You talk about him all the time. I'm like, I do, yes. My friend Ricky. You sent it to him. He said that he did, and it was the auto was just really, really faded. I'm like, yeah, I can't do it with that auto.
Yeah, he's not the best autographer.
But it's funny though that somebody, I don't know if he bought it or he pulled it, whatever. But James Wood, prevalent.
It's funny because before he bought it, he came to me. He was like, "Hey, is this going to be a good buy for this amount of money?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I can't see you losing money on the purchase if you bought it for that."
How much did you buy it for?
He bought it for $200.
Pretty good price.
Right, out of 5, rookie auto, 1 card.
Yeah,
but yeah, he came to me asking if I wanted to buy it. I'm like, not right now. But yeah,
I just couldn't get around the autograph.
Yeah, his autographs aren't the best. But he's still alive. Anyways, it's the One Piece craze is just so funny. It just really proves who's in this hobby for the money and who genuinely likes it. Because like I posted on my story like last week or whatever that I'm seeing too much One Piece on my timeline and stories now. It's just, yeah, I didn't sign up to follow all these One Piece accounts. But yeah, stop being a hype beast. I guess that's my own take. That's how you get burned.
Yeah, that's a great way to kind of summarize, or not summarize, but to kind of cap that off is, hey, if you want to get burned, follow the hype and be late. If you're into the hype early, sure, there's money to be made, but I mean, kind of scummy about it. But if you're late into the hype, like, I mean, so many people have bought Pokemon cards. Oh, my cards are down, the market's crashing, yada, yada, yada. It's like, sure. It's like, literally, a guy came in. He had the SAR Charizard. He had a graded pristine 10 with CGC. There was one listed for like 10,000. Then there was like I think there was another listing for like 5,000, I think it was. And then he was like, oh, I'm asking like 3,500 for it. I forget the details, especially, but he's like, he sold it for like 2,300 or so. It's like, oh, the market's crashing. It's like, it's a brand new card. The market always goes down on brand new cards.
How have you not learned by now?
Exactly. This is a guy who's fresh new into Pokemon with the whole hype of Mega Evolution. I think he maybe a little bit before that he kind of got into it. I think he missed the boat on Black and White. But it's like I try to tell him, I'm like, from a narrow-minded perspective, sure, it's crashing. Oh my god, the card went from 10,000 asked to settled at 2,300 or whatever the number was. Sure, that's a crash for you. However, if you look at the big picture of things, we all know no ultra modern card is worth $10,000. No ultra
Right.
modern card should be worth $5,000 for that matter. So, yeah, it's crashing for you, but for me or anybody else that's been tenured into this space, you would know it's just market correction, ebbs and flows. Yeah, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. I mean, it's not that
Yeah,
hard to kind of figure out.
and honestly, now that the market is crashing, I'm kind of trying to stock up on slabs while they're cheap in hopes for the next boom.
Yeah, and I think that'll
Especially,
actually.
especially
Ooh,
these guys.
damn. And that'll lead into my outgoing take. Now's a great time to buy. The market is falling off a cliff. It's crashing to all hell, and everyone's going to One Piece. So if you're looking to buy cards, if that card was just a little too expensive for you, then it might be reasonably affordable now. If you have been holding off, now's a good time to get into it. Just because the market for Pokemon will be going down. It has been going down. Look at these icebergs. Damn. Tell me that whole binder is full. That's kind of fire. Look at that. Page after page after page. Oh, okay. We're not there yet. That whole binder will soon be full of Articunos.
Well, dude, I love it because that card is only $15 now.
Yep. And then, hey, wait
Price of
a couple of
Chipotle.
years. It's going to be 30, and then your money will be doubled. If you wait even longer, it'll be worth more. But yeah,
That's the
now
price
is
of
the
a
time.
Chipotle burrito with guac.
But now is the time to buy Pokemon, regardless what price point. Your $10 cards, your $100 cards, your $500 cards, everything is now becoming more affordable, which just makes things much easier to buy again because of this crash or this downturn or correction, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it a correction. Or the fact that all these people are selling off their Pokemon to go into One Piece. Maybe people are selling off to buy Christmas gifts or holiday gifts or whatever gifts. Valentine's Day is coming up. They might be selling something to afford a gift if they have a girlfriend or whatever. So now is a good time to buy reasonably, buy strategically, don't fall for the hype, and just collect what you like, not what other people tell you to collect. That's my outgoing take, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Please make sure you like this episode. Comment down below any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, anything you have in regards to today's episode. We talked about so much. Definitely would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new or haven't considered subscribing. Check out the channel membership program. I've queued up the next video covering Ricky's face right there. So if you enjoyed this, you'll enjoy that one. Hopefully I'll see you in that one, guys. Peace. Bye.